Call me a god. You call me a god.
What's going on, folks? Back with another one. This is like, I'm talking late 80s. I didn't even know this was around. I guess these guys are cool now or something. I'm not really sure. But Ice-T and yes, ladies love Cool James, LL Cool J, had a beef war back in the day. And then this is I'm bringing this to you by Hood War. I want to say Hood War Chemicals. If I'm wrong on that, correct me. Okay, so we got to do this, we got to do this, and we got to do this. Y'all ready? Let's do this.
Yeah, got some of that LL Cool J. Nah, man, I don't want none of that, man. You can keep that, man. I think they need help. How many times on one album can you say you're deaf? I'm bad. Yo, punk, say your breath.
You stand beside me, I'm cool. I freeze ICE on your trail, and I'ma cut that. I thought I conquered the world, cause Mojo, Hammer, and Ice-T's girl.
Well, if you trying to be a boss, you can't let nobody else say they the boss.
Real talk.
Ice-T's girl.
So I had to get him. I got at him. He said,
To be fair, Ice-T's girl that he married, it was a stripper. I don't know if she is now, but she was a performer.
best. I'm like, fuck that.
Don't take it. I'm not gonna get hurt. Right? You diss me on a record.
Hey man, when he said to the break of dawn, I remember.
Oh, poor baby, you mad? He dissed you on the record.
Hey man, my
you wanna
thing
shoot his
was,
car because he dissed you on the record.
when you said
Back in the days before social media, hip-hop beefs had a way of simmering for years. Artists took their sweet time responding to dissies, often waiting until they were ready to drop a new album. One classic example of this slow-burning feud was between Ice-T and LL Cool J. Now, this beef might not have reached the epic proportions of Kendrick Lamar versus Drake, but it had its fair share of entertaining moments.
If I could actually out-rap LL or nothing, at that time I did. So I was like, yo, fuck this dude, right? Let's go.
Let's set the scene. It was the late 80s and early 90s, and both Ice-T and LL Cool J were dominating the hip-hop scene. Ice-T was this powerhouse performer repping the West Coast, known for his gritty and raw style. On the other hand, LL Cool J was the
He was also in the movie Trespass. If you're coming through Illinois, well, if you're passing Fairview Heights, getting ready, there's a big tall building on the right side. If you're getting ready to pass, go west on 64 to hit 70. There's a big silo building on the right side where they filmed Trespass. Ice-T was in that movie.
brash and bold voice of the East Coast, famous for his confident and boastful delivery. It was only a matter of time before these two titans clashed, and boy did they ever, trading diss tracks back and forth. It all kicked off when Ice-T dropped some not-so-subtle shots at LL. On his 1988 album Power, Ice-T threw the first stone with the track I'm Your Pusher Pusherman. The song uses hip-hop music as a metaphor for drugs, where a fiend happily accepts albums from legends like Dougie Fresh, Eric B. and Rakim, and Public Enemy to get his fix. But
damn! I hope he wasn't dissing those guys. Those guys are pioneers. These guys are the legends.
Offered some LL Cool J music, the junkie outright refuses.
Yeah, got some of that LL Cool J. Nah, man, I don't want none of that, man. You can keep that, man.
And Ice-T didn't stop there. Later in the album, on the track The Syndicate, he dedicates even more bars to dissing LL.
I think they need help. How many times on one album can you say you're deaf? I'm bad. Yo, punk, say your breath.
LL Cool J never one to back down, fired back in a big way. On his 1990 album, Mama Said Knock You Out, he dropped To the Break of Dawn, where he threatened to cut off Ice-T's ponytail and took several other jabs at him.
I'm cool, I freeze ICE on your trail, and I'ma cut that ponytail.
LL wasn't just going after Ice-T, he also took shots at Hammer and Kool Moe Dee on the same track. But LL
The Kool Moe Dee one was a big mistake.
Wasn't done yet though. A few years later, on the remix to I Shot Ya, off his Mr. Smith album, he boasted, "What the F? I thought I conquered the world, crushed Moe Dee, Hammer and Ice-T's girl." The rivalry was heating up.
What the f? I thought I conquered the world, cause Mojo, Hammer, and Ice-T's girl.
But here's where things get interesting. A lot of people thought LL Cool J going after Ice-T was a risky move. Why? Because these two were polar opposites. Ice-T was known as the father of gangster rap and had a reputation as a real gangster with legit ties to the Crips, one of the most notorious gangs
Rolling
out there.
60s.
You see another
Rest in peace, Nipsey.
Nigga laying dead in the street in a puddle of blood from his head to his feet. I hope it's time all you bitch ass niggas get hip to this brim. Nigga, this West Side rolling 60 cup, real? Yes. I went to Crenshaw High School, and when you got to that school, it was kind of like you either with us or without us. And down in the neighborhood, I mean, everybody is affiliated with gangs.
This wasn't just rap bravado. Ice-T had the street credentials to back up his tough talk. Meanwhile, LL Cool J, with his flashy style and smooth demeanor, seemed like an
To go back on this right here.
This wasn't just rap.
Wasn't just rapper, no. But what basically destroyed Ice-T's rapping career, I think this was the mid-90s, I think. What destroyed his rapping career in the mid-90s and he went into acting is he put out a song called Cop Killers with, who was that with? I can't think of the name of the heavy metal band, but he put out a song called Cop Killers, and that pretty much put a stop to it.
Vado. Ice-T had the street credentials to back up his tough talk. Meanwhile, LL Cool J, with his flashy style and smooth demeanor, seemed like an unlikely opponent for someone as hardcore as Ice-T. The beef could have easily spiraled out of control given Ice-T's connections and reputation. So what really happened? How did this beef between two of hip-hop's biggest stars play out? Let's dive
we're here to
deeper.
find out.
As we mentioned before, Ice-T and LL Cool J came from starkly different backgrounds. Ice-T was born Tracy Merrow, and he had a pretty uneventful suburban childhood in North New Jersey.
Oh, go back to that picture.
Mentioned before, Ice-T and LL Cool J came from starkly different backgrounds. Ice-T was born
That picture right there is from one of the greatest movies of all time in New Jack City.
Merrow, and he had a pretty uneventful suburban childhood in North New Jersey. In his book, Ice, a memoir of gangster life and redemption, he describes those early years as quiet, simple, and suburban. It was about as far from the gangsta life as you could imagine. But things took a sharp turn when Tracy was in the 3rd grade. His mom, who was only in her early 30s, died of a massive heart attack.
TV, and she just leaned her head back and started breathing hard. My father, we lived in a duplex house, and he was just like, go next door.
This tragedy left Tracy to be raised by his dad and a paternal aunt. Sadly, just 4 years later, his father passed away from the same cause. Ice-T recalled,
Body count. Body Count. That's where Cop Killer came from. Was Body Count. I'm pretty sure the album the album came off of Body Count.
It's not shedding a tear for either parent, saying, everybody in the family was bugging out that I didn't cry when my father died. They remembered how I hadn't shed a tear for my mother either. But I just wasn't built like that. Wasn't wired like that. Even as a 12-year-old kid, I knew I was going to have to make it on my own, and my survival instincts were kicking in. After his father's young Tracy moved to Los Angeles to live with another aunt. This was a whole new world for him. In an interview with the AV Club, he talked about the culture shock. Welcome to LA. Hey, guess what? We've got gangs. Something I wasn't dealing with in New Jersey and New York. For a while, he went to school in the upper-class area of Culver City, but later decided with some friends that they wanted to attend Crenshaw High, a school notorious for its Crip affiliations.
See, I went to Crenshaw, so Crenshaw had 60s, Hoover, Harlem, A-Tray gangsters. Harlem is 30s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Harlem is the 30s.
They named that from New York?
Yes. I went to Crenshaw High School, and when you got to that school, it was kind of like you either with us or without us. And down in the neighborhood, I mean, everybody is affiliated with gangs.
To avoid gang harassment, they invented a fake gang. Ice-T recalls, there was like 3 or 4 of us who came from that group and went to Crenshaw. We actually created a fake gang. We told people we were part of the Hillside Crips. We had them thinking there were hundreds of us. We created this other, I guess you could say, shell corporation that didn't actually have backup, but it kind of kept people off of us.
I don't want to explain to you how dangerous that was. That man, Ice-T at that time to pull that off, that's insane.
Charisma and personality sold the lie, helping him gain respect among the school's top dogs. Despite rubbing shoulders with gangs, Ice-T was still a good kid at heart. He worked hard to keep his grades up, but life threw him another curveball in the 12th grade when he got his girlfriend, who was 2 years younger, pregnant. Faced with the responsibility of providing for his new family, he decided to join the army. Later, he would
I didn't know
downplay
that.
this experience in his song That's How I'm Living. But in reality, he admitted to the AV Club that it shaped him significantly in the absence of a father figure. I think men, growing up, you have to go through some form of hardship. You gotta harden the metal. I would go to the military or prison. Somebody gotta smack you in the face and tell you life ain't easy, man up, he said. Unfortunately, his
Facts.
relationship with his baby's mother didn't survive his stint in the army. When he returned to Los Angeles, he found himself facing a tough reality. There weren't many job opportunities for young black army vets who were also single
Nope.
fathers. In his episode of VH1's Behind the Music, Ice-T shares a wild story about his friends picking him up from the airport in a flashy new Mercedes. These friends had a proposal for him: join them in a series of smash and grab jewelry store heists.
And they literally picked me up from the airport in new Mercedes-Benz Vets and said, yo, this is what we doing right now.
Thanks to his military discipline, Ice-T quickly became the point man for these operations, and for a brief time he and his crew enjoyed quite the success as jewel thieves. This phase was followed by a stint as a full-on pimp, a period during which
That's what makes his character in SVU so good. Is because he's been there, he's done, not the cop side, but he's been there, he's done it, he knows how criminals act. And I think that's what makes his character, he's my favorite character on SVU.
Ice-T developed the persona that would later define his career. Ice-T had always been captivated by the works of street poet Iceberg Slim. He'd often quote Slim's work at length to
I've
his
heard of
friends,
him.
who would then ask him to kick some more of that iced tea. One day, while getting his hair done at a salon, he was entertaining the other patrons with his rhymes when a local record label owner approached him with an offer. The encounter led to the release of Ice-T's debut single, The Coldest Rap, in 1983. It wasn't long before he started getting scouted for potential movie roles. In an interview with The Guardian, Ice-T recalled, "Everybody that I was rolling with started to go to jail. I was in as deep as I could get and my friends started to go under. To live every day with the potential of somebody blowing your brains out is not as sexy as it sounds." His friends, some from behind bars, began advising him that the criminal lifestyle wasn't the best career path. Initially, Ice-T turned down a movie offer, but he eventually accepted $500 per day to appear in Breakin', a 1980.
He was in Breakin'? That was one of my favorite movies. There was Breakin' 2, there was Breakin' and Breakin' 2, The Electric Boogaloo. I know that was horrible. But I didn't know he was in Breakin'. He must have been the DJ. I almost remember their names because the girl down there, she was a little rich girl.
Film that helped hip-hop edge closer to the national spotlight.
So I'm like looking at the man like, I ain't been in no movie, man. I'm about to go get paid, man. Is you crazy? Get up, get away from me, you know? And then my homeboys came at me and they were like, Ice, man, you need to cool out, man.
I got in a movie called Breakin'. I was at a club called The Radio, and I was in this movie called Breakin'.
Ice-T used the visibility from the movie to further his burgeoning rap career, but something still felt off, as he would later recount in the title track to his 1991 album OG Original Gangster. Much of the popular rap music of the time focused solely on the music itself. Ice-T, however, had a wealth of personal experiences that he felt were more important to share. When his music hit the scene, it was like a nuclear warhead dropping on the nascent LA rap scene, giving birth to a new genre. The opening verse of his 1986 track, 6 in the Morning, introduced a type of character that hip-hop hadn't seen before. A guy wearing gold chains, wandering the city with pockets full of drugs and guns. He was a self-made mobster of the city's streets, and nobody had heard anything like it before. The song painted a vivid picture of crime and punishment, setting the template for what would become known as gangster rap.
They do credit you with starting gangster rap. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Because like 6 in the Morning was considered the first gangster rap. People credit you with that.
Yeah.
6 in the morning, police at my door. Fresh Adidas squeak across the bathroom floor.
Ice-T.
Fresh Adidas squeak across the bathroom floor.
openly admitted that he drew a lot of inspiration from Philadelphia rapper Schoolie D's 1985 single PSK What Does It Mean? While Schoolie D's track wasn't explicitly a gangster narrative, it featured tough street talk and a rap style that Ice-T would later adopt. In a later interview, Ice-T said, "Call it a bite or what you will, but I dug that record."
6 in the Morning was my version of kind of working off Schoolie D's PSK.
6 in the Morning would go on to appear on Ice-T's 1987 debut LP Rhyme Pays. The song's impact was so significant that actor Dennis Hopper tapped Ice-T to provide the title track for his 1988 gang film Colors, further solidifying
Cult classic Colors. Colors. Yes, he done that. Cube done that. And that was actually the soundtrack for the movie Colors. He had the lead soundtrack. I forgot all about that, y'all.
Rhyme Pays. The song's impact was so significant that actor Dennis Hopper tapped Ice-T to provide the title track for his 1988 gang film Colors, further solidifying Ice-T's status as the godfather of gangster rap. Interestingly, Rhyme Pays was the first rap album to ever sport a parental advisory sticker. In the mid-'80s, the US government, spurred on by the Parents Music Resource Center, PMRC, basically went to war against any music with lyrics that were anything less than squeaky clean. Initially, they set their sights on big names like Madonna and Prince. But with the rise of gangster rap, the PMRC found a big, juicy target. Ice-T, never one to hold back, had plenty to say about the PMRC. On the title track of his third album, The Iceberg Freedom of Speech, Just Watch What You Say, he took aim at the PMRC.
This is before NWA.
And the city of Columbus, Georgia, which was notorious for locking up artists under its indecency statute. Ice-T pointed out the absurdity of censorship and the hypocrisy of people who claim to defend the First Amendment while simultaneously tearing it apart. The real drama unfolded when Ice-T released the debut album by his all-black heavy metal band Body Count. The album featured a track called Cop Killer, which...
This is the one I was talking about. Oh... God, this song. Cop Killer! Yeah!
Simultaneously tearing it apart. The real drama unfolded
Body
when
Count.
Ice-T released the debut album by his all-black heavy metal band Body Count. The album featured a track called Cop Killer, which sparked a massive controversy in the middle of a re-election campaign. Then President George H.W. Bush and Vice President Dan Quayle zeroed in on the song.
Gore.
The world watched as NRA President Charlton Heston read the song's lyrics out of context in a deadpan monotone. It was a bizarre sight that highlighted the cultural clash surrounding Ice-T's music.
I got my 12-gauge sawed off. I got my headlights turned off.
Okay, first off, old men should never read rap lyrics. That should not ever happen. That should be illegal, y'all.
And monotone. It was a bizarre sight that highlighted the cultural clash surrounding Ice-T's music.
I got my 12-gauge sawed off. I got my headlights turned off. I'm about to bust some shots off. I'm about to dust some cops off.
Now, let's shift gears to L. Cool J, also known as James Todd Smith. According to the Chicago Tribune, Smith's childhood in Queens was anything but easy. His father shot his mother and grandfather, nearly killing them both. When 4-year-old Smith discovered them, blood was everywhere. In 1972, Smith and his mother moved into his grandparents' home in St. Albans, Queens, where he grew up. He endured physical and mental abuse from his mother's ex-boyfriend, Roscoe.
And around that time, you know, I was a victim of child abuse.
Being abused as a child, it gives you a feeling of being helpless, a feeling of not being able to voice your opinion, not being able to voice how you feel.
Smith began rapping at the age of 10, inspired by the hip-hop group The Treacherous Three. By 1984, 16-year-old Smith was making demo tapes in his grandparents' home. His grandfather, a jazz saxophonist, bought him $2,000 worth of equipment, including 2 turntables, an audio mixer, and...
Whoa, did you see that audio mixer? Oh shit.
Smith was making demo tapes in his grandparents' home.
Sorry, y'all. Didn't expect that to happen at all.
Smith began rapping at the age of 10,
There we
inspired by
go.
the hip-hop group The
My bad.
Treacherous Three. By 1984, 16-year-old Smith was making demo tapes in his grandparents' home. His grandfather, a jazz saxophonist, bought him $2,000 worth of equipment, including 2 turntables, an audio mixer, and an amplifier. Around this time, Smith reconciled with his father, who offered guidance and support at the start of his music career. Smith's mother was also supportive, using her tax refund to buy him a Korg drum machine. Smith has said that by the time he received the musical equipment from his relatives, he was already a rapper. Growing up in his neighborhood, rapping was as common as speaking Spanish in a Spanish-speaking household. This was the same time that NYU student Rick Rubin and promoter-manager Russell Simmons founded the
Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons discovered him? Russell Simmons, but Rick Rubin? Rick Rubin is a fucking guru.
then independent Def Jam label. Using the mixer he had received from his grandfather, Smith produced and mixed his own demos and sent them to various record companies throughout New York City, including Def Jam. In the VH1 documentary Planet Rock: The Story of Hip Hop and the Crack Generation, LL Cool J, born James Todd Smith, revealed that he initially went by the stage name J-Ski. However, he didn't want his name to be associated
Ladies
with the
love Cool James
that rappers like Curtis Blow and Joski Love were linked to, as depicted in the 1983 remake of Scarface. So he changed his name to LL Cool J, which stands for Ladies Love Cool James, a moniker coined by his friend and fellow rapper Mikey D. Once Smith adopted his new stage name, LL Cool J, he was signed by Def Jam Records, which led to the release of his first official record, the 12-inch single I Need a Beat in 1984.
12-inch maxi single. 12-inch maxi single. It was not a full. It had remixes on it.
This track was a hard-hitting, streetwise b-boy anthem with minimalistic beats and powerful rhymes. Reflecting on his journey to find a label, LL Cool J said, "I sent my demo to many different companies, but it was Def Jam where I found my home." That same year, LL Cool J made his professional debut concert performance at Manhattan Center High School.
I know, I'm
He
still
recalled the
bopping.
experience in a later interview, saying, "They pushed the lunchroom tables together and me and my DJ, Cut Creator, started playing. As soon as it was over, there were girls screaming and asking for autographs. Right then and there I said, this is what I want to do." The success of I Need a Beat was immediate, selling over 100,000 copies and establishing both Def Jam as a label and LL Cool J as a rising star in the rap world. The single's commercial success, along with the
Now Paul Rosenberg, Eminem's partner, is CEO of Def Jam Records.
Beastie Boys' Rock Hard, helped Def Jam secure a distribution deal with Columbia Records the following year. In 1985, LL Cool J released his first album, Radio. That same year, he made his film debut in Crush Groove, a movie celebrating Def Jam's origins. LL Cool J's star continued to rise as he outlasted much of his competition by continually innovating and pushing the boundaries of his music. He gained significant airplay with rap's first romantic ballad, I Need Love, in 1987.
I Need Love.
Figured
Slow
West
Jam.
Coast rap with Going Back to Cali in 1988, which he
I'm going back to Cali. Cali. I'm going back to Cali. Nope, I don't think so.
recorded in California.
Then you get a chance to make your first album, which
Listen to it if you get a chance.
crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Despite criticism from some quarters for his crossover success, LL Cool J responded by teaming up with producer Marley Marl to create the musically and thematically innovative album Mama Said Knock You Out in 1990. This album
best
included
album.
several hits, such as the title track and Around the Way Girl. The huge popularity of this
I need an around the way girl, around the way. Everybody had that on a, man. Damn, when I was in high school, everybody had that on a mixed bedroom tape.
album further cemented his place in the hip-hop world and showcased
I
his
Need
versatility
Love.
as an artist. Following the success of Mama Said Knock You Out, LL Cool J ventured into acting. He appeared in numerous films and landed regular television roles, most notably on the sitcom In the House, 1995 to 1999, and the drama NCIS Los Angeles. Meanwhile, he continued to release music, with his 1995 album, Meister Smith, becoming one of his most commercially successful releases to that date. Though subsequent albums like 10, Todd Smith, and Authentic produced occasional hits, LL Cool J found himself increasingly overshadowed by younger rappers in the 21st century. Nonetheless, he remained a respected figure in the hip-hop community, which lent credibility to his non-musical pursuits, such as launching his own clothing line. LL Cool J's contributions to music earned him multiple Grammy Awards for Best Rap Solo Performance, and he even hosted the Grammy Awards from 2012 to 20.
Did anybody see how big that damn Grammy was?
Increasingly overshadowed by younger rappers in the 21st century. Nonetheless, he remained a respected figure in the hip-hop community, which lent credibility to his non-musical pursuits, such as launching his own clothing line. LL Cool J's contributions to music earned him multiple Grammy Awards for Best Rap Solo Performance, and he even hosted
Okay, I'm talking about that one there, not the one he was holding. I was like, fuck.
Grammy Awards from 2012 to 2016. In 2017, he received a Kennedy Center honor, and 4 years later, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, receiving the award for musical excellence. So it's no doubt that despite Ice-T and LL Cool J coming from different backgrounds, they both managed to carve out incredibly successful careers for themselves in the hip-hop world. However, as is often the case in the rap scene, beefing became a norm, and the feud between Ice-T and LL Cool J wasn't
That's what hip-hop's all about.
Ice-T talked all about it during an interview on Drink Champs. He explained, what happened was with him, he was saying he was the greatest rapper ever, and I was coming out from the West Coast. How was I going to be able to be taken seriously if I let someone say they were the best? So I had to rep. I was like, of whoever you think you are, and I had Coast on my back, so I was like, let's go. Now, whether or not I thought I could actually beat him rapping, I had to stand my ground, and I thought I might have been able to be more clever than him. Who knows?
Well, if you trying to be a boss, you can't let nobody else say they the boss.
Real talk.
So I had to get him. I got at him. He said, I'm the best. I'm like, fuck that.
Ice-T threw some subliminal shots at LL, but there was no doubt who he was dissing on his 1988 album, Power. On the track, I'm Your Pusher, Pusherman, Ice-T used dope hip-hop music as a metaphor for drugs. A fiend in the song gladly accepts albums from artists like Dougie Fresh, Eric B. and Rakim, and Public Enemy to get his fix. However, when asked if he wanted some LL Cool J music, the junkie declines.
Yeah, got some of that LL Cool J. Nah, man, I don't want none of that, man. You can keep that, man.
Later on in the album, in the song The Syndicate,
was KRS-One's name on that? Y'all let me know.
Ice-T directly targets LL with several bars. A lot of MCs like to talk about they self. A first grade topic, I think you need help, he raps. How many times on one album can you say you're deaf? I'm bad, yo punk, save your breath.
I think they need help. How many times on one album can you say you're deaf? I'm bad. Yo, punk, say your breath.
LL Cool J then fired back with a more famous clap back on To the Break of Dawn from his 1990 album, Mama Said Knock You Out. On that track, he threatened to cut off Ice-T's ponytail, among other disses.
I'm cool, I freeze ICE on your trail and I'ma cut that ponytail.
LL didn't just go after Ice-T, he also dissed MC Hammer and Kool Moe Dee, but he wasn't done.
Okay, MC Hammer was too easy to diss, but if he caught you on the street, you may or may not make it off that street. That's who he was. Suge Knight was scared of MC Hammer. Wouldn't touch him, wouldn't talk to him, wouldn't go around him. Now, Kool Moe Dee, man, one hell of a lyricist, one of the greatest. But him and Hammer weren't exactly alike. They were kind of just in two different categories. But Hammer was known in the streets, let me tell you that right now.
Yet, he came back for more a few years later, bragging, "What the F, I thought I conquered the world, crushed Moe Dee, Hammer, and Ice-T's Curl" on the remix to I Shot Ya off the Mr. Smith album in 1995.
What the f***? I thought I conquered the world, crushed Moe Dee, Hammer, and Ice-T's Curl.
As it often happens in hip-hop, even OGs have OGs older than them that they respect. The war of words between Ice-T and LL Cool J was eventually squashed by one of rap's forefathers, Afrika Bambaataa. Ice-T shared, "That ish got shut down. Bambaataa actually shut down that rap beef, cause LL wanted to be part of Zulu Nation. There was a moment when they were asking me, I was like, if it were up to me and him is kinda beefing. But it was just record-ish. Who was the better rapper? We weren't threatening each other's lives. I think he said I took the record cover to the bathroom, but whatever. That's not grounds for M.
And I was connected to
That's
African
bad.
Islam, so I'm already Zulu. And they asking me, can L get into Zulus? And I'm like, nah. Bam, Bada was so powerful, he just wanted peace. So from that moment, we agreed not to not apologize, but not continue dissing each other.
Believe it or not, during all that time while Ice-T and LL Cool J were
That's called the agree to disagree.
beefing, and even after, the two stars never actually met until years ago. Ice-T explained this to Capone on Drink Champs, saying, I ran into LL in Monte Carlo. We were doing a television convention. I chopped it up with LL. Back in the day, this is what we had to do. We had to stand our ground. No disrespect. We shook hands and everything. But this happened maybe 5 years ago. Up to that point, I hadn't crossed LL's path or nothing like that. It wasn't that serious. It was rap shit. I can rap better than you. No, you can't rap better than me. And just like that, what seemed like a heated beef turned out to be just two legends doing what they had to do to claim their spot in the rap game. Not only did Ice-T and LL Cool J squash their beef, but they actually became friends, much to the delight of their fans.
Got to met LL Cool J. No, man.
Let me know what you think, yo.